After the state government extended the olive branch to striking taxi drivers in Goa, we learn that the strike has now been called off. Earlier, the government had agreed to file a petition in the Supreme Court seeking an exemption from the installation of speed governors in taxis in Goa. In fact, the taxi strike there that caused extreme difficulties for commuters in Goa in the last 3 days. That taxi strike currently has been called off. We understand some negotiations there between taxi owners and the government. Earlier, the government had agreed to file a petition in the Supreme Court seeking exemption from the installation of speed governors in taxis in Goa. Now we understand that after 3 days of that strike, a taxi strike in Goa, the strike has been called off. We have Herman joining us with more details. Herman, what is the negotiation now between taxi owners and the government, considering the strike has been called off?
Well, this comes minutes after the Goa government, in fact, extended an olive branch towards the taxi owners by saying that they would be petitioning the Supreme Court to exempt Goa from installing the speed governors. Do remember that was one of the key demands, saying that after the Supreme Court order, despite that order coming in, there were these taxi owners who were saying that we would not install the speed governors, and that in a way had not gone down well with the government. But finally bending down and listening to the key demand of the taxi owners, when the Manohar Parrikar-led government giving the assurance that they would be now approaching the Supreme Court, and it is only after that assurance that the strike has now been called off on its third day.
Also, Herman, take us through the kind of havoc this strike had caused in Goa, considering it was a holiday destination. Day 3, finally the strike being called off. What kind of relief will it provide for commuters?
Well, Goa's only airport had turned literally into a railway station by the looks of it, because you had stranded passengers not just inside the premises but also outside the premises who had gathered there for the last 2-3 days with not a single taxi plying, close to around 98% of the taxis being off-road. It had definitely created a lot of havoc towards tourists, and also the local residents. Do remember, therefore, so mostly it was tourists who were impacted because of the already existing poor network system, and therefore now this comes as a massive relief to the multiple of them, both the domestic as well as international tourists.
All right, tourist taxis there to return to streets. In fact, the strike has been called off. Herman, thank you so much for getting us those details. Now, of course, we understand the state government extended the olive branch to striking taxi drivers in Goa, seeking exemption from speed governors.